All right, recording has started, and this is the, let's see, what is it, June 30th, 2022 Crossplane community meeting. Agenda doc is still open now and will remain open. So if you have a topic that you want to discuss, feel free to add it to the agenda doc as we're going on. So let's jump into milestones and releases as we typically do to start the meeting. So for core Crossplane and Crossplane runtime, I did a quick check, and in the last 2 weeks, there weren't any specific releases that we want to go over there. That does not surprise me since we are ramping up for the 1.9 release in just a couple of weeks here. I think that'll be, I think that'll be right before the next community meeting. We will have the 1.9 release out. July 12th is the planned or tentative or scheduled date for that. It's not tentative, that is the scheduled date. So we're making progress on 1.9 and getting towards the end of that. So let's jump on into the project board and see if there's any things that we want to address or bring up or talk through any potential blockers, etc. So let's go to the 1.9 board here. We've got a few things that have been merged with fixes into the done column now. There's this one, actually this one here, is this, let me see this current status on this one. Okay, yeah, I was concerned about this one because it looked like, there's a panic that was happening when someone from the community was wanting to turn on the alpha feature for composition revisions. And I was concerned if that was a panic that was, causing a crash in the Crossplane provider, core Crossplane pod that was a regression there, then I would want us to potentially patch that. But it looks like Nick addressed this last night, and I have not read this yet.
So
okay,
we hit the same in our test environments.
Got it. Well, if it's a problem for Christopher, then it's definitely a problem for me. So we'll keep going on that. Okay, so I see. So Nick closed this issue because it is a panic. We're not going to deny that. That looks like a definite crash, but just a different issue with root cause being tracked there. So this is the issue that we do care about, and this is in 1.9. This is something that we are addressing, and there's a pull request open for it now. So this is fine to be closed because we are following up on it with the root cause that's actually happening now. And that's in review right now. We can have a discussion about when that fix gets merged because it is a panic crashing bug, to consider doing a patch release for it. If it affects 1.8 and 1.7 as well, then I would consider, 1.8 is the current release. Yeah, so 1.8, 1.7, and then before 1.9, the last 3 releases would also include 1.6. So if those versions, if it is affected, I would want us to consider a patch release for that. I don't know if anybody else has strong opinions that they want to share on that, but we can take that up with Nick in context of the fix that he's working on for it. But if folks have opinions on it, feel free to weigh in right now. All right, and then the other issues here that we have pull requests open on as well. I don't know if they're directly connected, but Nick did mention that first fixing the panic that we just saw here, and then taking the fixes for these as well after that. So I don't know if they were related in terms of a dependency thing, or if it was a prioritization thing of fix the panic crash first and then do accept or get these other fixes merged in, but these will come in, I think, behind the fix for the panic that we're seeing here. But they're all in progress, and I believe they're intended to be accepted and included in the 1.9 release. Excuse me. Support patching from common data sources. There is a lot of velocity still going on that. So Max has been doing a lot of great work to continue fleshing out and trying to finalize the API that we want here for this. So I think that is getting much closer to a finishing the finish line than it was previously. I don't think I don't know if this will be a part of 1.9 though, because there's still some outstanding discussion on what the API shape and experience is like. And I think we're heading into the feature freeze now as well. So I probably wouldn't want to rush this into 1.9. So I would bet that this would not be included in 1.9, but there's a lot of velocity on it and a lot of progress to getting this to the finish line sometime in the near future here. This is a priority. Multiple people are collaborating on it. So this is something that's going on. And I know it's in high demand from the community as well. So it has a lot of value for folks and folks who want to be using this. But we'll continue spending the time in the cycles with multiple people from the community to get this right. Let's see. I don't think Nick or Alper are on the call today, but so those two folks have been focusing a lot on scaling issues and performance issues that come from installing thousands of CRDs like Crossplane has a tendency to do. So just a quick update on that to share with folks in the community here. Or is this the right? There may be a better issue that captures the latest updates there. But one thing that Nick found here is that he was doing another test pass with all of the fixes that we had put into upstream Kubernetes, both on the server side and the API server, and then within the client side, so kubectl, kubecontrol. Nick was doing a test pass with those, and on a Linux client, so from his Linux desktop, he was seeing that, with a cold cache and empty cache and doing a full discovery from the client side with thousands of CRDs installed, it was taking just about 1 second. So that's obviously a drastically improved situation from where we were previously. And that's a much better experience. The control plane in the client side doing discovery is now better prepared to handle a lot of CRDs being installed. But then he was also seeing on a Mac, using a Mac client, a kubectl from a Mac laptop that was taking like double-digit seconds, 12, 13, 14, 15, almost 20 seconds sometimes. And so Nick looked into that and found what we believe to be potentially a root cause for that. And so Nick has a PR open on upstream, kubectl that will potentially address that for Macs as well, so that the client side experience is down to the order of magnitude like 1 second for doing a full cold cache discovery. So that would be very, I think, a really good outcome here. I think there's probably still some, like the managed cloud provider, managed Kubernetes services can still have some issues with like scaling the control plane and memory usage, and going through a couple of rough patches as the CRDs are being installed. So I think there's a number of things to improve there still. But overall, the experience here is drastically improved over the last in number of months, while we've been doing client side and server side fixes and putting those into upstream Kubernetes. So a lot of really good and impressive effort from here, and it'll be interesting to see with everything that we get into upstream Kubernetes of what it looks like after all of that. But I think things are much better now. And Muafik, I thought that this was the right issue that had like a summary. Nick wrote a summary, I swear, in the past 24 hours that was like, pointing to the upstream contributions that we're putting in to like improve the Mac client, and, like had even like a link to, hey, here's a locally built kubectl if people want to use that now as well. Do you know where that issue would be, dude, or where that was?
Yeah, that was, let me look up. I'm not sure.
Feel free to, if you find that, feel free to drop a link to it in the agenda doc, because I think folks, that'll be interesting for folks as well. I thought it was this issue, but this one hasn't been updated in a week, so I might have been wrong about that. Okay. Other questions or comments on 1.9 release milestone timeframe? Okay. So we will keep going along in the 1.9 release cycle here, and we will be working towards getting these outstanding bug fixes and changes into the main branch. So they'll be included in the 1.9 release that is coming in just under 2 weeks. All right, let's hop into providers as well. So Christopher or Muafik, do you all want to talk about this patch release that went into AWS that fixed the regression since the last community meeting?
Yeah, Yeah, I can give a quick update. There was a bug in IAM user CRD that added tags infinitely, and that caused some problems with Kubernetes cluster where etcd started to not respond. So it was pretty critical bug, and we pulled back the 0.2 and 8.0 to pre-release and suggest installing the patch version. So it's all fixed. Do not use 0.28.0 and just jump to this patch version directly. And I think if you click the releases, it will either not show up the buggy one, or yes, pre-release and a very big warning. So yeah.
It's pretty good font size for this. That's very noticeable. Like excellent work on making that visible. Nice. Okay, and then Christopher, do you want to roll us right on into the 0.29 release that will be coming out soon for provider AWS?
I think I updated the release things because we have one open PR we want to bring in with ECS, but the problem at the moment is that the CI is failing. But this is only failing in CI, not locally. I think I talked today with Morfak also, and I think on his machine is also working. So yeah, I will have a look afterwards what we can do there.
Oh, interesting. So
yeah.
So everybody like running locally, like make build, make test, make reviewable, whatever, that all works fine for everybody on their local machines. But in the CI system with GitHub Actions, et cetera, that's where we're seeing failures.
Yeah, we're seeing that in the CI, the CRDs are modified in one of the files. I don't know why. We have nothing more as debug output. What is modified?
Dang. So we don't have like a diff of the like what is changing in those files that could give us a clue to shoot. Okay, that is weird.
Yeah, so I will have a look. I will have a look afterwards what we can do there.
Okay, got it. And so that's, so you've tracked that here as 3 minutes ago. Nice, very recent. So that we, so this is blocking getting the release out. So fixing the issue with the CI, then we'll work on getting the 0.29 release out. That makes sense, Christopher. Thanks for your efforts on getting things merged and getting features in and cutting the release and all that sort of stuff, man. It's definitely appreciated. Anything else you all want to add for provider AWS specifically?
No, I have later one PR which is closed in the past, and we would talk about this, but we can do this later, I think.
Okay, you got it. You added it to the agenda doc later on.
At the end.
Okay, sweet. We will do that then. Okay, and then Yuri, I think you added this note here about official addition of a new maintainer.
Yep, so Provider Terraform got a new maintainer. Thanks, Bob, for all your contributions and accepting the role. So we have a nice and faster review process now, and we managed to get in right after the Bob assignment. Some pull requests merged, and yeah, looking forward to co-maintaining Provider Terraform together. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm enjoying learning the whole process.
Yeah, right on, Bob. Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm definitely happy to hear for your commitment to that project there and the the benefits that you're bringing to it as well. All right, sweet. Okay, so I wanted to have a note here about we continue to have more providers that the community is building for new scenarios or new environments, et cetera, that are coming into the Crossplane ecosystem, which is amazing, and I love every single one of those that's happening. So I wanted to call attention that we haven't really had like the policy or instructions or anything well laid out yet for that. So in the Crossplane /org repo there, I opened a quick issue just to kind of outline what we do today. We want to, further document this and have a streamlined process for it. But this is kind of a, hey, real quick, this is the broad approach that we take for folks that want to bring their repository into the Crossplane Contrib organization to have a, vendor neutral and governance and work under the Crossplane project governance there. So, yep. We have, so if folks want to do that, you can just send them to me. I think Christopher's done that a couple of times. He's pointed folks over to me to help facilitate getting those providers in. The palette provider was one that is a good example of that was added recently, that came from those folks there, that's now available. I think we have all the CI and such in there. We've got the first builds out of the main branch working right now. I don't think an official release has been done yet, but that provider is bootstrapped and ready to images are ready to be pulled and used now. And then there's a COPS provider as well that the door reached out to us, and we'll go through that process, start it today to get a new repo open for it and accept as the first PR all the content from that repository. So more providers are coming along from the ecosystem, and we're have a bit of a sketched out early process for it, but we'll flesh it out further and make it more official as well. But thanks to everybody in the community who's bringing new providers into the ecosystem. That is always pretty awesome. Anything else for providers that folks want to bring up as a note or anything on provider releases or updates?
I added one thing. It would be really great if we can create a new release in provider Jet AWS, because I think the last release in Jet AWS is from March, and we have a lot of PRs since there, and a lot of folks running between the versions and the master branch. And yeah, it would be great if we can see their release.
Yeah, that's a good point, Christopher. That's a good point. I'm taking a note here. Yep, that sounds pretty reasonable. If there's been contributions, there's been progress in that, into the main branch. There hasn't been a release since March, then that sounds reasonable. To cut a release of that seems reasonable.
And I think we fixed a few things also for the AWS guys. They're using the Jet provider in the blueprints.
And the difference,
a few things they opened, so it would be great to see the release.
Yep, that seems reasonable. Yep, good. Thanks for calling that out. Okay, cool. Then we can move ahead on to the community section then, if there's nothing else on providers. So yeah, so I like this section here for every community meeting, just calling out any sort of blog posts and videos, etc. From the last couple of weeks. In a quick search, I only found this one here that somebody had published from in the community there about their experience with Crossplane and their thoughts on where it's going. So that's available here if you want to read this blog post about Crossplane being the next big thing. I like that title. I like where the thinking on that one, and it's available here for folks to be able to read. Any other, videos, tutorials, posts, etc., that folks want to add to this list, feel free to do so, because it definitely serves as a nice aggregation point for, latest news and stuff about Crossplane. All right, let's jump then into the LFX mentorship program updates. So I think both of our mentees are on the call today. And so I'll give an opportunity to both of them to speak about the latest status on their project and what they'll be focusing on next. So Ruhika, if you want to go ahead and talk about what you're doing with breaking changes in CRDs.
Right. So hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing great. I'll start by introducing myself. Actually, I wasn't able to do it in the last community meeting. So I'm Ruhika Blani from India, and I'm currently studying Bachelor's of Engineering in Information Technology. And this one itself, I got selected for LFX mentorship for Crossplane. And I'm really glad to be a part of Crossplane. And so currently I'm working on implementing a resource and a controller for GCP DNS policy resource. And for the same, I actually had a demo session with Mr. Onus where he showed me the implementation step by step. And my next steps would actually include testing out CRDs and seeing what actually causes a breaking change, as this would be directly linked to my LFX mentorship project. And lastly, I would like to thank Jared, you and Mr. Onus for always guiding me and, really solving all of my queries. Thank you.
Yeah, right on, Rahika. Yep, we love the progress so far, and we love that you're what you're working on there. And so we're looking forward to continuing to work on the contributions together and get things merged. So the DNS policy resourcing controller for provider GCP will be hopefully landing sometime soon, and then we can move on into the meat of the project here with all of that foundational knowledge to work on detecting breaking changes in CRDs. So super excited about that, and welcome to the community, Rahika, and glad to have you here. Awesome. Then Parul, so I think you are on the call as well today. So if you want to also, introduce yourself and talk about the latest progress in your project as well.
Sure. So just checking that I'm audible.
Yeah, we can hear you here.
Sure. So hey everyone, I'm Parul and I am a Bachelor of Technology undergrad pursuing computer science and engineering, and similar to Ruhika, I was also selected for LFX mentorship program to Crossplane. And my project basically involves adding tests for pulling packages from private registries and different OCI images, for which until now I have been working around testing Crossplane and how it works and how to work with different providers and stuff. Then we had a bit of a demo session with Daniel and Jared, where they did a sort of code walkthrough through the pre-existing tests that are in place for provider updates and stuff. And taking inspiration from there, I would be working around some tests for verifying the pulling of private packages. And that would be what I would be working on this summer. And yeah, it's great to be a part of the community and learn about different stuff that is happening around and how Crossplane is helping bridge different gaps.
Right on, Parul. Also really grateful to have this second project as well. And both of these, I think, are going to benefit the ecosystem and the community as a whole. So really happy to have you there and the progress that you're making on getting to a place where we have some confidence in our private pulling packages from private registries. So great progress, but to both you all, and thank you very much for both of it. All right, so Adam, I think you are here to talk about some of the effort that the CNCF is initiating to do some fuzz testing and some security focus there. Do you want to kind of give us a little bit of an introduction to that project, and then also any sort of context about how we can help make that successful too would be appreciated also.
Yes, hello everyone. Do you hear me all right?
It's a little bit slow and distorted a little bit.
With the audio here.
Oh, okay. It's a little bit better now. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So yes,
yeah.
Hello everyone. I must apologize. I'm in the middle of a power outage, so I'm on a dial-in line here. Please interrupt me if the connection is awful. Anyways, the context of fuzzing is that the CNCF is investing in introducing fuzzing to the CNCF landscape, and has done so over the last approximately 2 years, where it has been working with us at AdaLogix on bringing fuzzing to critical projects like Kubernetes, Helm, Envoy, FluentBit, etc. And now the CNCF has reached out to us to hear if and you as well, and Chris Anishchik sent out an email last week, if I remember correctly, that whether you were, that would be something that you were interested in. So yeah, so this is kind of an introductionary talk about what can be done in this regard. So how these engagements usually work is in a way where the fundamental infrastructure is set up around fuzzing a given CNCF project, after which a bunch of fuzzers are written to bring up coverage of the given project, and finally a report is written about the efforts and the results that came out of the engagement. And usually it takes between 1 and 2 months, and the maintainer involvement can be from 0 to basically as much as you have time for and are interested in. We are able to carry out the work completely without anything from you, but if you have any wishes and thoughts about good parts of the code base that would benefit from fuzzing, then it is only a help to discuss it with us. And for those that are not familiar with fuzzing, it's a way of testing software whereby pseudo-random data is passed on to a target application, and the application is observed for any crashes and bugs, some of which can affect the reliability of the program. Others can affect the security of the program. Yes, we have had a look at Crossplane initially to make an initial assessment, and our observations are that Crossplane is not a project that would benefit as much from fuzzing as other projects, and this is just an initial assessment, in the sense that we haven't found a lot of data processing, marshalling, and parsing in the code base. That there are a few APIs that do this, but in general, the code is not super complex, and this is something that I would be very interested in hearing your input from.
Yeah, right on, Adam. That's all really, really useful, and thank you for the introduction to the goals there and some of the approach too. One of the big questions I had about to understand the effort a little bit more was like what level do you typically do the fuzz testing at? Is it like at the the public interfaces in terms of like how a user experiences Crossplane, so like more like a end-to-end scenario sort of thing where you put pseudo-random data into the CRDs that Crossplane reconciles, or is it more like at a unit test level, so you're calling in internal functions with pseudo-random data, or what level do you normally focus on?
Yes, so that's a good question, and that depends a little bit on you, not on you, but that you have an influence here as well in terms of what you think makes sense, and here the thread model is definitely denominator project for years. You do have some opinions on that, and in terms of the specifics, we have fuzzed reconcilers before, where we were simply asked, only fuzz the exposed and exported APIs, because that's the only thing that makes sense. And if you do fuzz the internal parts of a given application, you will most likely find more false positives that are not reachable by exported functions. And this can be good and bad, because you push the application even further, but there may be increased noise. But you have a say in how we should approach this.
Got it. Yeah, I have a couple ideas that I could share real quick, and then we can one thing process wise is that in order to, so this is a really good introduction in the community meeting here, and we have a better understanding of, the effort that's going on here, and then folks that are excited about it as well can, get a chance now with this awareness to participate in it as well. So like a high level thing that might be useful is, are you all taking an approach of potentially writing down like a one pager or something like that captures some of the scenarios that you'll be focusing on, and then like we'll have a chance to weigh in and have feedback and discussion on that? Is that something reasonable that you all normally do, or do you normally do, is it more of a meet together and collaboratively do these things? So what works best for you?
All right. Okay. Yeah. So we are definitely open to writing an initial assessment of what would make sense for Crossplane. That would also be a great idea to get our heads together. But we don't. So usually, like I said, the engagement takes usually between 1 and 2 months, and it is very iterative in the sense that we will write a bunch of fuzzers, observe the feedback from those, write some more that do it better or differently, and kind of repeat that process. And we usually participate in the community meetings to get feedback from the community, but at the same time there will also be chances to communicate asynchronously through Slack or through any bug reports that may be reported. I should have mentioned that it is a goal for this year that the projects are integrated into the OSS project as part of these engagements. And there's like a communication features to collect quite good feedback in the past. I mentioned before that we were asked to first reconcile us instead of internal function. That was done because we ran into, and I said maybe it just makes sense to fuss that. Then we did that, and it kind of progressed iteratively like that.
Got it. Yeah, so that makes total sense. And, my opinion typically here is that, you've done this, like you and your group there has done this fuzz testing for other CNCF landscape projects before. And so you have a very good and, sense and domain expertise on how to approach these things. So, taking an iterative approach of you write some fuzzers, if you could share those then with the community of like, hey, here's what we've written, is there feedback? So if we get it a bit like, it doesn't, so my point is it doesn't have to be in the form of like an upfront one pager. I'm totally fine with that. But, the sharing the initial work and results that you're finding so that we can iterate together and folks from the community can contribute their ideas, that sounds like a great approach. So yeah, that sounds wonderful.
Great. I should add here, so for example, this bug that was in this bug that was discussed in the beginning of this meeting, that is something that a fuzzer would be able to find. I think it's a simple nilde reference, as in is a nilde reference, and that's something that a fuzzer will be able to find. So if you care about such bugs and panics, then I believe fuzzing will be able to help the project.
Awesome. Yep. Yeah, I have no question that there will be some value that comes out of the findings here, and improving like the reliability, resiliency, and security of the project is. I see only good things coming out of this. So I'm excited for this effort.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So I suggest that we. So there is a PR open on OSS Fuzz from last year, I believe. It has stalled a bit. I think it would make sense to get that one merged. I can tag relevant people or make a note about that one, and after that we have kind of have the freedom to improve on and write more fuzzers to the setup on OSS Fuzz. So would that be possible from maintainer side? I think Nick and someone else was involved in that PR. I think two other of the maintainers. So if we could get that merged, then we are ready to go from our side.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I kind of fell off my radar, I guess, because it's in a different org there. So yeah, so if you would tag the people that are mention the folks that are contributing to that PR already, so we'll get another notification about it, and then feel free to drop a link to existing PR in OSS Fuzz here in the agenda document as well, and then we can follow up on that and get that drive that to get merged in, and then we can iterate after that.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
Awesome, Adam. Yeah, thanks a lot for your efforts on this and then your time today to share it with us and discuss. This is great. All right. So next, and then also thanks for persevering through a power outage to talk to us about it too, man. So this PR here, this is what we were discussing earlier, right, Christopher, with that's blocking the provider AWS 0.29 release.
Yeah, that's correct. Let me check if I have the other one. Give me a second. It's who the PR is closed. I will send it here in the chat. Google is not working at the moment. Yeah, cool. There was an open PR from yes, for tagging resource in EC2. There's an API available for tagging resources which are not managed, for example, from Crossplane or Terraform, so that we can bring tags on resources in EC2. And we have 1 or 2 needs for this internally. So one thing is we will roll out Carpenter in our setup. So the new, I call it autoscaler from AWS. And the thing is, AWS creates with EKS an security group from a cluster perspective, and we need to add a tag there, otherwise Carpenter is not working. And the other thing is we are creating a lot of transit gateway attachments. And if we create transit gateway attachments, in the transit gateway account, the attachments will come without any tags. And we will retag, and we need to retag the things there. And from the other account perspective, we're not managing the transit gateway attachments. We only need to manage the tags. And I saw that in the jet providers, because of Terraform, the tags in EC2 is available as a resource. That's why I had the feeling that we can reopen the PR here in the provider AWS also, and can thought a little bit if this is good, and with a few informations that is only for resources we're not actively managing, because of then we have problems between both reconcilers that we will override the text or remove text, but we definitely need this for resources we are not managing with Crossplane directly.
Christopher, does that also, your last statement there, does that also imply that there's a need for observe only resources to be implemented too, or does this not depend on that? I'm not sure if I'm kind of coming up to speed here, so I'm not sure if I fully understand.
Yeah, we have so observe only resources. It's the problem here is that we need to tag resources we're not creating, so we need to create a tag on a security group from EKS cluster, which AWS creates for us. So it not fits only to have observe only resources put in the tag there.
Okay, I think I understood that. Cool. So then this is you're making a proposal here that this functionality that was closed is now needed again for the provider AWS and the resources there. Okay, cool. Do you want some feedback on that, or do you want to go ahead and reopen
I think it would be great. I think Nick was on this, and also I think Carl was on this with ideas or things in the
Oh yeah, Carl and Nick. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this, not open it because there was a lot of discussion in this PR. So
got it. Yeah, I think yeah, since this was a PR that was closed, like, well, I don't know. Maybe a good way to do this is to reopen it, but maybe like another good way is to capture an issue. If the issue that this is for doesn't really capture like the core of this idea, it might be a good idea to open up a new issue and then like tag Carl and Nick on it so they can have share their opinions on it. And Muafik, do you already have an opinion on this that you'd like to share at this time, or are you maybe not up to speed on it just yet to have an opinion?
Yeah, I'm not fully up to speed, but for tagging, the problem is that, like, for example, we have this high fidelity convention where we either have an inline field or the CRD, and we prefer having it as separate CRD. For example, if you have any cluster resource instead of, and the API also supports node group, even if the API of cluster exposes node groups, we don't add that to the CRD so that it's a different CRD for both node group and cluster, and you can manage either one of them through the other. So I think this is a little bit similar to that. The fact that, like, a lot of resources have the tagging, and like that was kind of like an exception that we wanted to make, like, hey, tagging is like very resource specific. So in this case, I think, like, having tags on individual resources is kind of like the pattern that we're following, and introducing a separate tag controller might result in, like, raising conditions that we wanted to prevent with that high fidelity convention. So, like, I'm not like 100% up to speed, as I said, but like, that is kind of like, first thoughts that came to my mind.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds then like that might be a good idea, Christopher. If you want to like capture this as like its own like a distinct issue that's open, and then tag tag Carl and Nick and Muafik on it to get some discussion on it. That sounds like a good next step.
Yeah, cool. I will open the issue and yeah, add a few things there. So from my 2 comments, and then we can have a look.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds good. Like a good
Because fair
approach.
enough, in the jet provider, the resource is available for tagging. So the other option is to enable the resource in the jet providers, and not only in the previous one. And then we can do this with this. But
oh, and that API, Christopher, is it like, hey, like tags as a collection, as a array, whatever, or map tags are exposed on each resource as opposed to like an individual.
You can say in the EC2 group, for example, you have a security group ID, yeah, and you will only add a tag to this ID on this security group, and then it's only managing the one and only tag on this resource.
Got it. Yeah, that is a possibility as well.
Thanks.
Yep. Cool. All right, that sounds good, Christopher. You can follow up on that. Thanks for bringing that up, man. Okay, and then yeah, so then we had like back to the check diff failing thing. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but in the past, I have approached like build CI failures that only happen in the build CI environment with like adding some extra like output statements or something like to the build submodule. And then, opening up a PR that has, that updated build submodule so that we can get CI to run it and get that extra output there, since it only happens in CI environments. So if there's some extra logging or something you want to add as a, temporary commit to the build submodule and then open up a PR using that build submodule, that could be an approach for extra debugging here.
I think I did these things before in the past, so I will dig in. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Yeah, I'm super curious about what is causing this. It's a mystery. Okay, cool. So I think that was everything that was on the agenda doc here. Any other topics that folks want to bring up before we adjourn?
So I have only one thing we had also in our own environment, and I also see this from days to days in the community. So if you update, for example, the provider AWS or other one, so changing the version number, then it occurs an error that the CRD is currently managed from an older UID, so from the old one. And the only thing is to solve the issue is to add more CPU in Crossplane core and add as argument max reconciliation rate to 100 or more. It depends a little bit on how many resources you are managing there. And I think we need something more for the community folks to yeah, if they hit the issue, something like this, that they can find a solution for this. I think we have I added a few things in issues in Crossplane for this, but for example, yesterday I had one guy in the community with the exact same error. Again,
Christopher, was it this error, or was it a different error than this one, or this is a separate issue?
Oh, it's a separate issue. I think the issue is something like roll out a new provider version. You get only an issue in the PKG reference that the following CRDs are currently managed from other UID, and then you are lost. Then nothing happens anymore. You know,
but more resources or like more concurrent reconciliations fixes that or addresses it.
Yes, and more CPU for Crossplane core.
Interesting.
Did someone else hit this issue? Because in the community we had from days to days guys asking for this issue.
Yeah, yeah, it feels like something that's kind of that I have heard of, and I have a recollection of it. Was there a distinct tracking issue for this that was open already?
Let me check.
Yeah, that might be good to add to the agenda doc here, so we can maybe follow up with other attention on that. It sounds like a better experience for that would be nice.
I think I have only my issue comment and what we have fixed. So that we fixed this. Let me check. I will add this here. I think it looks like this. Is it this?
Let me see if I can bring it up here real quick. Oh wait, is this?
It's the same.
Something timing out at least. Cannot establish control of object. Cannot establish control. Yeah. Oh yeah. So it looks like it could be. I'm just briefly looking at.
If you scroll a little bit down, I have also from the package revision level the messages you only see as an event.
Oh, which one? This was yours, right? Where's Christopher?
Yeah, this one. Stop. This one. Yeah, you can
stop.
Yeah, you can see here the events, and the last event is the only thing you get there, and then it's completely blocked if you're not doing anything. You see, blah 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 is controlled by the following UID, and then everything stops. And the thing, and the only thing you can do at this point is you need to modify the CRD mentioned there, remove the old UID, and then give Crossplane core more CPUs, add max reconcile rate as argument, and then in the next loop everything is working as expected. And
yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad you brought this up then, Christopher. Because so it looks like the error message might be a little bit different in terms of like a resource already having like ownership from another object, but like the core thing is, or the bigger issue here is that, you know, it's timing out. It's not finishing its operations in the given time that it has. So this feels very related to this issue here that we already have. It's in 1.9. I don't know if that's, yeah, like what Nick is talking here, like it seems totally related. So maybe this is something we can get in. It looks like something we had been thinking about for 1.9. So at the very least, like I agree with you that, you know, this issue you brought up, in that it's very related to this issue that is a priority, that like, yeah, this sounds like something that we should, let's create a link between these two. Oh, cross-referencing 2564, is that, oh, that's this one. Okay, so they are already linked together.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, then maybe we could, like, for easier tracking, we can add this to 1.9 also, so it doesn't fall off the radar. But yeah, okay, I think this is getting a little bit of traction then.
Good.
Cool, awesome. All right. Well, if there's no other agenda items here, then we can go ahead and adjourn for the week. And then we're intending to have 1.9 out before the next time we meet in 2 weeks. All right. Great to see everybody. Thanks for everybody's efforts. Appreciate all of y'all.
Thanks.
Thank you. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.